There are songs that the birds don't sing to people, secrets that keep right through to the end, heroes that hide until forever, and I'm singing this song for one of them. He's the man that you passed on the road there, the one with his life on the loose, going either somewhere or nowhere.
Howdy, this is your Friends and Neighbors, and I'm your host, Willie Jones, and I'm always very happy to find myself in maybe your den or your bedroom or wherever you might be watching this show. Again, I want to thank people who stop me in the stores and say, really enjoying the show. That means a lot to me, so thanks. And we're going to have a lot of fun today. We have two very familiar faces with us. To my immediate right is Eric Peterson, and of course I forgot to check with Eric, if I get this right. He is the producing artistic director of Oldcastle Theater.
That's absolutely correct.
Oh God, I always have trouble with that.
You get a gold star for the day.
I always have trouble remembering the right order and stuff like that. And next to Eric is a wonderful actress that works with Oldcastle.
But has no title.
Well, you've got many titles. You do many things at that theater. This lady right here is amazing to watch on stage. I'm telling you.
Thank you, Willie. She
She can take a character and give it such a spit shine. And if Rick Howe was here today, we're going to be talking about Bennington Goes to War, and Chris and Rick and I are going to be the cast for the show. And if Rick was here, he is another actor who can take a role, spit shine the other shoe. And so it's always a thrill to have Chris here. And
well, you're
Eric
not a
here.
bad shoe shiner yourself, Willie.
Yeah, well, I haven't shined a shoe in quite a while. My what do you call the stuff, the shoe black, whatever, is a little dried up, but you know, it's getting there. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Bennington Goes to War. There's been a wonderful documentary on channel, I think it's showing on 16, about getting the show together, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more today. Tony Mero's wife, Jackie, right? She did the documentary, and you look so comfortable sitting in the seats. Because the seats at Oldcastle are comfortable. They really are. Before we do that, a good friend of Oldcastle, Robert Sugarman, just wanted to mention that he's written a book. There was a book signing and reading last week, I believe. Well, it'll be a couple weeks from now, a couple weeks ago when this gets on the air. He's written a mystery, and I believe this is his first fiction, right?
His first novel published. He's primarily a playwright.
Right.
And he wrote a couple of nonfiction books, one about circus and one about schools and Shakespeare, young students in Shakespeare.
So this is his first piece of fiction.
I would call plays fiction, but yes.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking of books. Well, it's a mystery called Dead Man's Float. I have started reading it. It's a Henrietta Brown mystery, which makes me believe he's thinking about some more Henrietta Browns in the future.
I would expect that, yes.
And it's a fun read. It's one of those, I guess they call them cozy mysteries. It's not grisly. It's not, ugly murders and things going on. It's very serene, sort of a serene mystery. And it is fun. And I guess Henrietta Brown is based on his wife, Sally Sugarman. And maybe you can answer this. When I ran into Sally at Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, I said I was sorry that I didn't get to the reading. But the first question I would have asked him is, how come men are so good at writing female characters? Do you find, I find a lot of books written by men, they know how to get into the psyche of a woman. Am I wrong?
I think that's the hardest thing for a writer to do, is to write for the other
I would
gender.
Think.
I don't know which writers you're thinking of.
I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment, but
I think it's very difficult, generally speaking, for most writers to write
for the
about
other
the other
sex
gender.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've always found like playwrights that seem to write very fully realized female characters usually grew up with a lot of women.
Well, that's the case of Tennessee Williams, right? There was a lot of women around him. Or Truman Capote is the one I'm really
Truman
thinking of.
Capote, yes.
He was
very
the one
much
that
so.
had many, many more women.
Yes.
Let's see, what's the, before we got other things to talk about. The season.
I thought we were here to talk just about us, Chris.
Well, we're going to talk
And at
about
great
you.
length,
We're
I
going
was
to talk
thinking,
about
probably.
you a little bit more. The season is coming to an end,
Yes, it is.
and it's been a great season,
Thank you.
starting with Play Date,
Yes.
right through Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Unfortunately, I was away, and then I got sick when Doubt was on, and I felt terrible. I missed that because supposedly this lady right here, Miss
Christine Decker was brilliant.
that's
in that.
what I hear.
She was
That's-
absolutely brilliant.
That's what I heard. That's what I said. She does a good shine on a shoe.
As
so-
a nun should.
Yes.
So, attendance-wise, a pretty good
It's been
summer.
quite good. Been quite good, yes.
I know you've been telling people at the curtain speech that it looks like you might maybe get to a certain color this year.
Yes. Well,
You're working on
we're
it.
hoping to finish the season not in the red, which would be very nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
I guess the biggest hit would have been My Fair Lady.
Yes.
I mean that really brought them in.
People
And-
loved that. Big audiences, very happy people
Yeah.
at that show.
Oh, they were and I was glad to see a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
There were kids that came in. Parents, grandparents brought the kids to them. So are people saying, "Are you doing a musical next year?"
People are saying that.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm sure they
and we're
are.
expecting we will.
I'm sure they are. So I'm sure you're busy now, even though the season's not quite over. Now you've got to work on the fall. What do you call it? The fall, winter, or winter series, or
Well, we're working on the concert series,
Okay,
which will
concert series.
begin with the first opera in our theater
I know. And I
on November 8th and 9th.
supposedly I will have
looking
Mr.
forward to that.
Casano
Lascano, yes,
on,
Thomas.
to talk about it.
He's written one of the operas. One of them is The Telephone by Minotti, which is a wonderful, funny, light opera.
Minotti, Mall and the Night Visitors.
That Minotti.
See, I don't know much about that.
And then the other is an original opera that Thomas wrote. And so we're just really excited. One of our goals has been to present as wide a variety of entertainment as possible. And last year we had Vermont Vaudeville, who we loved. We had Evita Kobo. I shouldn't start because I'll leave people out, but we had burlesque. The burlesque
Had
folks
burlesque,
are going to
all
be
right.
back
What'd you
this
say?
coming year. They're going to be back.
The burlesque,
Yes, they're coming back.
folks.
And it's
don't
going to
miss
be
it.
our first opera.
One night only for the
No,
burlesque.
two.
Two for the burlesque. Oh,
Two.
folks.
And that'll be a co-pro with the Vermont Arts Exchange.
Oh God, same. Okay, don't miss it. Although if if you're afraid of flesh, maybe you don't want to be there. Oh God, it's a fun evening. I bought tassels. Somebody came up to me in with a basket, and I'm
they
sure you
sold
would
tassels?
like that. Yeah, or
I did not
little
know that.
pasty things. Yeah, yeah. And she said, the girl says to me, "I'm sure you'd like
I'm
some
almost
of these."
afraid to ask, but what have you done with them, Will?
They're hanging on a bookcase in
They're,
my
they're
living
hanging.
room.
I got a little
Yeah,
nervous right
yeah,
there.
They're
yeah.
hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
On a bookcase.
Oh, it's a funny and the Vermont Vaudeville, they were wonderful too.
They
I
are
love
very
them.
good.
They
And we're
were
we're
so
hoping
sweet.
to have them back. We're still working on that.
God. And so is the opera part of l'ensemble?
No,
They're-
L'Ensemble
it's
will be
separate?
back in residence for 3 concerts. The first is in November, and then a couple in the spring.
Okay, good. I'm excited. The Vermont Burlesque is coming back. And
Gypsy Lane.
That's right. That's what they call it. Yeah. And then you must be already thinking about next season. I'm sure you don't have anything lined up yet.
Well, our first show is
oh.
going to be a co-production with Playwrights Theater of New Jersey and the Bickford Theater in
Oh.
New Jersey, and that'll be Tally's Folly,
Oh,
and that'll be in May
Okay.
of 2015.
okay. Good. Let's see. The other thing I want to talk about before we get to is Acting 101. Chris has been doing this workshop at Oldcastle for a while now. You had
I was,
3?
I was trying to think of how long I've been doing it. I think it's been a year.
Oh, at least. I think.
Oh
Yeah,
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 because haven't
yes,
you had 3 classes?
Oh no, I've had like I don't know 7.
Oh,
six-
how many?
six,
Well,
seven.
how many weeks?
There-
And
there's
6 weeks.
Yeah, they're 6 weeks
okay,
long.
yeah. Okay.
And I have a core group of people who have been coming to just about every session, 5 to 6 people, and then some people will drop out for a while, and then new people will come in. So it's been really exciting. And
You've had people from 80-something to teens,
yes,
right?
yes.
I guess that's the other way around, from
80,
their teens to their
85 to 15.
Yeah, I want to talk about that 85-year-old. Do you have? So when's the next one coming up? Do you know?
This Monday, but which of course won't be
Right.
when the show is aired.
Oh,
but
sure.
October the 13th, it goes to November 17th.
Now, could somebody join a little late if they wanted to, or would you prefer they wait till?
It depended on, if it was brand new to them, I might advise. 6 weeks goes so quickly. It's only 2 hours long. And to give people individual attention and stuff, it just flies by.
Maybe sometime you and a couple of your acting students could come in.
I would
and
love to.
maybe do a few little exercises for us.
As a matter of fact, one of my students, Miriam Silver, and I are going to be on the Sugarman's show,
okay.
October 20th, I believe.
I knew that they wanted to get her on
Yeah.
there. And I'd love to have her on here to talk to her too. This woman is amazing. Now, the time that I saw the what do you call it? I should call it a showcase. Okay. She had her part memorized right down to the T. She didn't need although she said this time she was really upset because she didn't have her lines all learned or something like that. But that's not important. Important to make sure the lines are memorized.
That's not what the emphasis is. If somebody wants to challenge themselves and work on it, that's fantastic. But it's kind of a fallacy that people think, all you have to do is memorize your lines and then it's a done deal. It's we spend a lot of time talking about human motivation and about our own lives and how we make, conclusions about what other people may be thinking based on what we're thinking. So it's kind of a life class as much as an acting class,
This Miriam Silver, was she ever involved in acting or singing or anything?
I always ask my students why they want to take the class, and I do remember her answer was that she'd always been interested in theater, but realized she wanted to have a family. And it's very difficult to go into theater, as you well know, and still have a family, so she chose to go another route. But it's always been in the back of her mind that this is something she wants to pursue, and she's extremely talented.
I mean, I look at her and I keep thinking of Sophie Tucker. I just see her up there with a scarf, whatever she used to have, stuck in her sleeve and stuff like that.
One of the things that's been really fun for me, I've seen almost all of the showcases.
Yeah.
And the growth of the students who've been in it for 2 or 3 or 4 sessions is really, in some cases, remarkable, and it's really great to see.
It's nice to see. I don't know if we want to bring up names, but there's a woman that takes the class, the workshop. Her daughter was in a show with us. I think she did Off the Map. Nancy Bernstein.
Oh, yes.
Her daughter was one of the girls. They
girls.
traded parts, right? Yeah, so. So it's kind of nice to see that
Another very talented woman.
Somebody who has she did a difficult piece that I saw not this time but the time before. She and somebody did Night Mother,
Right.
and that's not easy at all.
tough.
So all right, well, I think now let's talk about Bennington Goes to War.
We're out of time.
Yeah, no, unfortunately,
so sorry.
no, we're not out of time. So how did this all begin? I mean, it began with Tony, right?
Tony was giving a talk at the Bennington Museum that I saw about history. The Bennington Historical Society had done a series of interviews with local folks who served during World War II. And Tony mentioned that when he talked, actually he was there to talk about his book about Phil Hoff, which is the best book I know of written about Vermont politics. And anyway, we got into a conversation after the lecture about the interviews that had been done with local folks who served during World War II, and I asked him, or he asked me, I can't remember which to tell you the truth, if it might make a theatrical piece, and we started to talk about that, and went through the Bennington Museum has all of the interviews on file, and we got those and read them. Tony had already done quite a bit of work on them for a piece for the magazine that the Bennington Museum publishes, and we decided to make a show out of it, which has become Bennington Goes to War. It's sort of our local version of The Greatest Generation, Tom Brokaw's phrase about the American generation that went through both the Great Depression and World War II. And they have extraordinary stories to tell, and it's been a real labor of love. We've been working on it for quite a while now. We've had, I think, 3 readings. Christine and Richard Howe and Willie Jones are the cast members, and we've had readings with them, and then made revisions in the script.
Now this
and
is an
moved
old
some
script
things
I have
around.
here with me today.
It's nice to have it there because we can remember some of the local names involved. There are lots of them.
Now, I was told, folks, sorry for the coughing, but I have a little wheezy allergy thing today, so I'm trying not to. Ann Bugby, she was helpful to Tony, right, and you, in finding these at the museum?
Yes.
Finding the...
Yes. And Tyler Resch, who is the
Oh, yeah, of
librarian
course.
at the museum,
Right.
was wonderful.
Right.
And I wish I don't want to start because I'll leave people out, but a number of the people did interviews. Tony did some additional interviews as we were working on the show, and so it's quite a few people. John Maloney. I'm just looking at some of the names here.
Well,
John
you knew
Maloney.
most of the. I mean, you
I
knew
knew
a lot
I
of
knew
these people.
many of the. John Maloney
I
was
don't
the.
know a lot of them. It must have been difficult for you to sit down and write this, thinking that, oh God, I used to know these men and women.
John Maloney was the town sheriff for many, many years,
Sheriff.
and in his piece, he talks about during the Depression he was, I think, the oldest of several children, and so left the family because they couldn't feed everyone and rode the rails for quite a while. Leonard, well, we'll get to Leonard Morrison. Jerry Morrissey, who is Mary Morrissey's dad.
Right.
Joe Krozik, who was Joe Krozik Sr. Joe Krozik, who was a longtime member of the select board in Bennington and a legislator, is his son. Robert Laporte, Robert Purdy, Gideon Lacrosse, Helen Rudd, Margaret Lilly, a number of people whose stories are told. Carlton Carpenter. Tony did an interview with Carlton after, as we were working on the show.
So how did the two of you come together to write it? I mean, did he write some, you write some? Did you sit down together to write, or how did it come together?
Tony Morrow was an editor for some great newspapers, including Newsday. He ran Newsday for several years, and is a great editor. And he did most of the editing on what I sometimes call the testimony, which is the members of who served speaking in their own words about their stories, about what they did.
It's a civil union.
Yes, I've been calling this documentary theater.
Okay.
It's also akin to storytelling, I think. Does that make sense? Because it's people telling their own
Right.
stories in their own words, first person. So it's sort of storytelling and documentary at the same time. I think maybe the most challenging part of it was to come up with a beginning and a way to work into it, and we wanted to set the scene for that, and that's what we've done with some statistics and some about what was going on in the country. And then we needed something which would tie the stories together, and it was Tony's idea to include Leonard Morrison and Frank Ginger Howe. Leonard Morrison was at one time owned the Bennington Bookshop. He was a town attorney and had worked for the Bennington Banner, and was when the war started, he was a little older and had a number of ailments and physical problems, had been very ill as a child, and wasn't able to serve in the armed forces, and wanted to make some contribution. And Frank Ginger Howe, who was a legendary owner, publisher, editor of the Bennington Banner, suggested he write a column. And Morrison put together a column in which he told people what was going on with people in the armed forces, whether they were serving in the European front or the Asian front, Pacific front, but also giving information about what was happening in Bennington. He'd have lines about the weather, about how the local Ben High basketball team was doing, who had just gotten married, and people would clip out the column and send it to their relatives, friends, children who were serving, and they would eagerly look forward to this. It also let people know, in some awful cases, who had been captured, who had died,
It's very moving.
who had gotten medals, or had recently gotten back to the United States but might be in hospital. So it was a column that the entire town sort of adopted as its own, and really had a profound effect. There was a wonderful piece written in the Rutland Herald saying that of all the work that Vermont newspapers had done during the war, that the best contribution had been Leonard Morrison's column. So we try to tie the stories of the service people together by having scenes with Leonard Morrison and Ginger Howe.
I'm Leonard.
You're Leonard Morrison.
And Rick is Ginger Howe. Yeah.
And you're also some of the
we all played
soldiers.
many different roles in this play. In this what are you calling it? Documentary theater piece, whatever.
It's a theatrical piece. Everything that I don't know what else to call it is a theatrical piece.
Have you got it in your mind yet? What it's going to look like? Well, there's going to be a lot of slides, or how are you showing?
We have slides of all of the folks, and so people will see them at that age, and then we have slides of most of them. I think all of them now, when they were older, when I might remember them, and others in the audience will remember them, I hope.
I mean, if I was sitting in the audience,
and there's also a lot of
seeing
music.
my family member, sorry, Brian, I think I would be it would be very emotional. I mean, I think it's going to be a very emotional piece to do.
There's a lot of music from the
there
period
is a
that
lot
I think
now.
will be fun.
Have you found all the music yet?
We're working on it. Corey Wheat, our sound designer, is working on it, and I'm really excited because we will finally have, for this production, for the first time, our new sound system,
That's
which
great.
Corey has been putting in for the last several
that's
days.
great.
It's still arrived. I think it's all arrived now.
I think there's some speakers still to come.
Oh, that's right. There's still speakers we're waiting for. We need those, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. we
Yeah, I
badly
think you
need those. Yes.
might need speakers.
Yes. He told me today he had the soundboard in his arms, and I said, how's it going? He said, I can't think of enough good adjectives to describe it, which I loved hearing.
It looks
We've been
beautiful.
wanting to have this new sound system, which will include a hearing impaired system, which we have really wanted for a long time. And this is the system we got through Kickstarter.
Right.
And got a lot of donations locally and from around the country, and we're able to finish finally our sound system for what we still call the new theater.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, it's
And
what,
you know,
2 years.
so many people don't realize what a huge contribution sound makes
Oh.
to theater. It can create such an attitude, and so it's really going to.
And the sound
we'll be
hasn't
able
been
to do
that
it
bad
much
now.
better.
I mean, it really hasn't
we'll be
been,
able
but
to
this
do
is
it
going to be
much
even
better.
better.
Yeah.
It'll be really great for that next musical.
There you go.
You know, one of the things I was most happy about with My Fair Lady,
Yeah.
we got so many people who thanked us for not using microphones.
Oh, I find that so annoying.
Microphones.
Yeah.
I do too.
They you see they're either implanted in their
Looks
hair.
weird.
That's the beauty of our spaces. We are
Yeah.
so on top of the audience,
Intimate.
and I there's nothing more thrilling than to watch an actor perspire. You know? It's like, wow.
And some of us do perspire quite a bit. And I asked Eric the other day, will people still be able to use their Flex Pass for this show? And you said yes, they will be able to use the Flex Pass. But after this show, they're not going to be. There's no more Flex Pass if you haven't used it
Not
up.
for their 2014 Flex
Okay.
Pass.
Okay.
Then they may get. We'd love them to get a 2015 Flex Pass.
No, I'm telling you, that was one of the best gifts I gave at Christmas last year. For anybody that wants a Christmas gift for somebody that loves the theater, or maybe they don't get a chance to go to the theater very much. I gave quite a few flex passes out last year. I don't know why I've never done it before, but it worked out beautifully. The people
the
were very happy.
beauty of that is that, you know, people can pick and choose.
Yeah.
It isn't like you're obligated to a show or a date.
Right. You can come to all 5 shows by
Yeah.
yourself. You can bring a friend. You can bring 5 people to one show, whatever. And no, it did work out nicely. And the other thing, you said the prices of this would be $25.
$25 tickets, $10 for students.
Now, what else are you thinking about as far as the theater goes? Now that the sound is in place, what are the next steps that you want to take care of?
We have been using, since we moved to this space, a borrowed lighting system from Playwrights Theater in New Jersey, they have been very generous to us.
Wow.
John Petrowski. John is going to direct Tally's Folly.
Oh, okay.
And they've been wonderful to us. But we need a board that is, let's say, from the 21st century.
That'd be nice.
Lighting board, which would be nice, and we need more instruments. So that's our next major purchase. I hope when we are able.
Yeah.
And we're still doing work in the space
Right.
itself. We're doing some plumbing and some work in the lobby now, so that we'll be able to have the sinks. So that we're hoping. I don't think this is wood.
No.
But we're hoping to have for next season a liquor license.
Oh. That'll
Means
be good
putting
on
in-
Friday night.
Which means putting in several sinks and whatnot.
Yeah, I would
that we're
say
working on.
maybe a couple more toilets too. I don't know.
No, we've got
all
9
that
of
drinking,
those.
all that drinking. I don't know. Yeah, that'll be a good Friday night show. After the week is over, they'll come and get liquored up and then come in to
now
see
we're
a
not going to
show.
liquor up anybody. No, we wouldn't do that.
What was the other thing I was going to ask now? Now it's gone right out of my head thinking about liquor. Not that I drink that much liquor, but at the where you get your tickets, the
Box office.
box office, whatever you want to call it. Thank you. You have a little survey of paper. Have a lot of people been taking that survey and giving you suggestions, or so? What are some of the things that people are suggesting that you tried to do? Or
We asked them a number of questions about how often they attend the theater, where else they go to the theater, whether they prefer mysteries, musicals, dramas, comedies. I think like every survey we've ever done, everybody always says to me, and everybody wants to see only musicals, right?
Yeah.
And actually, no.
No?
Dramas do very well, and musicals do well. But I don't think we've ever had a survey in which musicals have won, which I think surprises everybody. And the fact that we did it during a musical, My Fair Lady, is even more interesting, perhaps.
Huh. That is interesting. Chris, you've been working with, we haven't said the dates. The dates for Bennington Goes to War are the 24th, 25th, and 26th of October.
It's only 4 performances.
Right. There'll be a performance Thursday evening.
Friday.
Or Friday evening. Saturday a matinee and evening. That's it. Matinee at 2, Saturday 2 and 8. And then
No, 7:30.
7:30.
Our
I
new
can't get used to
time.
that.
I
Can't
know.
get used to that 7:30. And then 2 o'clock again on Sunday.
Yes.
All right. We'll say that again.
Friday
at the
and
end
Saturday at
to make it a little
7:30.
more
Saturday
clear.
and Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Okay. Now you've been working with Oldcastle for a long time, Chris.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, long
yes.
time. Come Choctaw.
73. I think.
73.
Yeah.
What? I think we talked about this before. What brought you to Oldcastle? And I can't remember if you even
It was a Volkswagen.
if you know what if you
No,
really
I didn't
knew.
even drive back then.
Oh, that's right, you didn't.
Yeah, I was like 27 before I got a license.
Huh.
I
She was 9 when she
9,
began
right,
work at
right.
Oldcastle.
I was living in the area. I had formed a children's theater group with some friends. David Strathairn and Gordon Clapp are two
One
of
of
them.
my favorite actors, David Strathairn.
And somehow we found out about Oldcastle, or you found out about us, or something. I can't even remember how it happened. And I think I was the first person. We did some one acts, Public Eye and Private Ear.
I've
Private
done
Ear
that
Public
show.
Eye.
Yeah.
Did that.
And
Anthony Schaffer.
Yeah.
No, Peter.
Peter.
Peter Schaffer.
And
Anthony's his brother.
Right.
so that was the first show. Then I did several shows.
The Lover.
Yeah,
the
Pinter.
one act.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Eric didn't direct back then. Paul Falzone did all the directing, and Eric acted. So I acted with Eric, but you didn't direct anything in those early years that I was in.
The Lover.
Yeah, I did. But
You did? Not that I was in. Yeah.
Owl and the Pussycat we did together.
Yeah, that was acting.
Yeah, that is acting all
yeah.
right. That is one heck of a play to do.
And did we did The Lover together?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And Paul directed
Paul
it.
and I directed the other one.
Yeah, and I
We did The Lover and the
that's
Dumbwaiter
right.
together. He and Brian Johnston were in the Dumbwaiter, and I directed that.
One of my favorite memories of The Lover is, we would grab furniture from wherever we could find, and it was usually falling apart. And I was supposed to dust a table. And as soon as I tried to dust it, it was like this. So I would have to hold one hand underneath it and try to dust it. It's like, those were the poor days.
And also, you just recently, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, did the costumes.
I did.
that.
This was my second time doing costumes.
Now, how difficult is that?
Very challenging.
Yeah.
Very challenging. I mean, I thought I had an advantage in one way being an actor. I understand people's concerns, actors' concerns, but there's probably nothing more intimate than what you're wearing in a show. So people have strong opinions one way or the other, and plus it's just a lot of driving. I just to find things. You're just all over the place. But I learned so much.
But you didn't have to do props. It's just the costuming.
Just the costumes.
She did a great job on the costumes, and we give her, of course, an enormous budget, tens of dollars.
Oh, I'm sure.
My job was like as cheap as I can. I said I might not be the most gifted costumer, but I'm one of the cheapest.
It's hard. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is a period piece. It's set in the 1950s, so finding 50s-looking clothes is not easy.
And in the summer.
It's
a summer
southern
show.
hot show.
And now we're approaching fall, so all the thrift stores have put away all the summer things. So.
There have been a lot of wonderful women that have come through Oldcastle.
Yes.
I would love to do a show sometime with like a reunion show.
Oh, wouldn't
and
that be
have
great?
Kim and Shelley. Kim Turner, Shelley Duboff, and Kathy Brady.
Oh, I
would
think about Kathy all the time. Every time I drive by her
Kathy,
house.
I know, I do too. And those three women who
Kathy did several shows with us.
Yeah.
Kim did a ton of shows with us.
Oh, yeah, I know. And Shelley, too. Excuse me. I don't know, I would just love to get, I mean, they all were really fun and great on the stage, so talented, and yet all three of them left. Well, no, Kim is still acting. Shelley once in a while will come out of her little hidey hole and do a cabaret or something like that. Kathy, no, but they all went on, and I know Kathy is a avid golfer, and of course Kim, Funk in the Trunk, right? Is that the name of her group? Now they should be doing a show or something at Oldcastle.
They'd be great.
Oh, and I just did a show recently with Steve Gillette. It was so funny. He came on by himself. He was talking about the songwriting workshop he was doing at 108 School Street, the church there. UU. And he was wonderful. And we were talking. They have this wonderful CD they've got brought out about from a couple that they have known for years. It's absolutely the most. I don't know.
The Bergmans.
The Berrymans.
Berrymans.
Oh my God, it is so good. And yet, when we were talking, it was so funny. He was talking about his wife. Yeah, well, Cindy, she likes to sing the grizzly songs. She goes for the grizzly, and I thought, we should have her here for Halloween. But
they are great together. They put on a fabulous show.
Oh, they are.
They're both wonderful songwriters and very talented singers. And of course, Steve has written for all kinds of people.
Different
and Sylvie
people.
and John Denver and Judy Collins and Garth Brooks and on and on and on and on.
And they wrote Hadley Burg, the musical.
He wrote for Disney.
The Oldcastle did Hadley Burg. the musical that they
I loved the
did
music
with
in that
you.
show.
Yeah, I did too, and I was sorry that we
Great
didn't
music.
have a cast recording of that. We do have a recording, I think, of Steve and Cindy singing all the songs from the show.
We have Yeah, we have some not great recordings.
it was a fun show to do.
Yeah.
But there's another couple that should show up at Old Castle at some point.
We would love them
to do a show.
concert. Yes.
They came to the studio, or he came to the studio a couple weeks ago, and he just loved it in here. And he said, "Oh gosh, I'd love to work in here more." I said, "You're welcome to come back anytime
Did
you
he
want."
sing as part
He
of the show?
sang. He sang at the beginning and the end, and Ryan, production coordinator, Beck is working with us today. Also, the other production coordinator, but Ryan was so happy with the way the sound came out, and so was Steve. It just seemed it sounded so, I don't know music, but it was clear. It was just beautiful.
I have a lot of their CDs and I listen to them a lot.
Yeah,
They're
I have a
wonderful.
few too. I like The Man. Do you have The Man?
Yes.
One thing I like about that is I know there's not as much of his music, but I love listening to the old songs on there that he does. Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And
Oh.
yeah, that's a great. I know we're getting off subjects here, but I don't know. Everything here is sort of connected. You've done a lot of work, Chris, with Rick Howe.
I
Who's
have.
not here today, and I'm sorry that
Rick
we
and I
never-
have been friends since our early 20s. He started working at Old Castle a year after I did. We did The Contrast. I always
Contrast.
forget.
First American comedy written by a Vermonter.
Yeah, we
Royal
talked
Tyler.
about that in Yankee
Royal Tyler.
tradition.
Yes.
Quite a fascinating play.
No, not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it was a little stiff.
We
you
did
know.
it for the Bennington
Yeah.
Bicentennial Committee,
Yeah.
and I think that was probably the last time that play will ever be done.
Probably, yes. And poor Rick had to play the character Colonel Manley, you know. That's something to get thrown at you.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah, I've worked with Rick in quite a few shows, not as many as you, and
When
I haven't had
when
work
Rick
with you.
auditioned for that show, he auditioned for Paul Falzone and me, and he gave a very good audition, and Paul looked at me and said, "Let him play Colonel Manley because I don't want to play that part."
And Paul Falzone comes back quite often to
Yes,
do
we
shows.
did a play he wrote last year.
Yeah, the
That then went to New
Sherlock
Jersey.
Holmes, yeah.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to work with Chris too much, but we worked in a
I got
couple
to see you
shows.
and Rick together in Greater Tuna, which
Oh,
was
well,
a delight.
That
I
was
loved that show.
that and
two of you were
Judavine.
wonderful.
That and Judavine and
Yeah, I regret I never
and
got
the
to
Boys
do a
Next Door.
Judavine.
I love the
Those
Boys
are your
Next
three
Door.
favorites?
Yeah, Judavine is right up there.
That's a great piece. David
That-
Bud Bill's Vermont play.
That is an unbelievable piece. Oh, well, I also liked The Little Foxes. That was something different. I think I've mentioned it here before. I think when the last time you were here, when we did The Little Foxes, Daryl Kenny, another person
I'd
who
love
is
to get Daryl back.
there's another person that is out in the world working and doing different things. Her character's name was Birdie, and I had to hit her at one point. I was supposed to slap her across the face. Frank Latson directed that one. All the other ones you directed. And my mother was so upset that she thought I really hit her. And she said, I don't want you hitting Tweety anymore. I said, no, name is Birdie. Birdie. And it was like when that Stephen King movie came out, Cujo. Cujo was the same thing. You're not going to get me to see Kajunga. I will not see Kajunga. So Bennington Goes to War. Let's get back to that for a few minutes. Let's get those dates right. October 24, 25, 26. And on Friday, it will be at 7:30. Saturday, it will be at 2 and 7:30. And Sunday at 2.
Yes.
I just think that a lot of people are going to be moved very much by this show. I think myself, I mean, just reading it, there are things in here that kind of make you wince at some of the things that these men, and especially the men, went through in their lives. It if it moves, of course, anything moves me. You know, tissue falling on the.
What I find so amazing about this is that so many of these people had such limited experience in their life.
Right.
They lived in tiny towns. They hadn't even left home. And all of a sudden they're thrust into another country and trained to kill people, you know.
Right.
It's amazing.
Alex Kershaw has a wonderful book, The Bedford Boys. I don't know if you. Oh God, that's a hard read too. I mean, almost all of the men in that small town, they perished in the war.
We talk in this show about how people went from playing basketball at Ben High or at the local YMCA, and months later were fighting for their lives in Europe. Many of them having rarely been out of the state of Vermont, and suddenly were in a foxhole in France.
Right. Somebody was saying to me the other day, there's a character, one of Chris's, Helen Rudd Bearden, I guess is how you say it. She, Darlene, who is the, I can never remember her title, out here at the desk anyways, Darlene was saying that she was quite a woman. And I'd never heard, that name I've never heard of, but I have enjoyed Margaret Lilly for many, many years, living in Pownell.
Who's a character in the show?
Yeah, living in Pownell. The woman is, she's up there in age, and she is a lawyer. She is still, do you say lawyering? I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but this woman is amazing. And she comes to Oldcastle, I think to just about every show. I'll see her there. And I don't know, she's just the loveliest lady. And I remember we were going to do the show earlier this year, and I think I told you, and Margaret said, well, don't wait too late to do this, because, you know, I don't know how much more time. And I said, oh God, we'll be sure to get it in there, Margaret, just for you. But I can't wait to see Margaret that night. I'd like to have her right up on the stage with us. I just think she's the loveliest lady. So how are the slides going to work? I mean, is it going to be a projector from the back, or do you know? You're not technical. Neither one of us are very technical.
We had a meeting about that yesterday, and Matthew Bush, who's been working with us this season, is working on that.
He's a godchild.
And I think I think he has worked out how that'll happen. But we begin as we're speaking today. You'll see this later, of course. We start rehearsals in a few days, and we'll begin Tuesday. We'll begin to work that out then.
And hopefully, the gentleman, Cassano, the man that's going to be from the opera company.
Yes, Thomas.
We're going to hopefully get him in here to do a show. So, what do I know about opera? Oh, sole mio. And I love saying così fan tutti. I can never remember what it means, but I love saying it. Do you know what
that's generally described as the greatest music ever written.
Così fan tutti?
Così fan tutti, yes.
Oh, I love saying it, but I don't know it.
It's extraordinary music.
Right.
The opera we're doing at theater is not Così fan tutti.
No. It's 2 1-acts.
2 1-acts.
Do you know if Ida's going to be back this year? She did a wonderful
L'Ensemble
concert.
is going to do 3 concerts.
She did a great one.
And she will do. She will be in at least one of them.
Okay, yes. I want her to do
she
Adelaide.
I talked to her yesterday, and they have so far 14 musicians scheduled. So it'll be exciting.
That was a wonderful. I loved all those shows last year. Even I even went to the classical stuff. I actually sat there and enjoyed it. I really did. I'm not much into classical music, but I did just what. First of all, it's the theater, so close that you can see them, you know, with the bow and.
Even if you're not a fan of classical music, to hear it live is so different. I have some friends that were harpsichord builders, and they would often take me to Alice Tully, and I would hear these concerts, these classical concerts, and it's mesmerizing.
Oh, who was that?
The Burrs, Walter
Oh
and Berta
yeah,
Burr.
yeah. My friend Marinette Alicia, who Eric has worked with, she had an art gallery down in Williamstown for a while, and they had one of their harpsichords in there.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
We had a wonderful concert recently at the theater,
I know, and
the
I
music
missed it.
division at Bennington College.
I wish I had seen
And it
that.
had a great variety of music. There was jazz,
Yeah.
there was classical, there was a wonderful rendition of "This Land Is Your Land," the great Guthrie song that ended the show, and it was a wonderful. We're hoping to have them back on an annual basis. And Alan Shawn put that together, and we're hoping that Alan will do a concert of his music. It was, I think, 2 pieces of his in the concert, and so it was wonderful. We've really tried to present a variety of
That's the wonderful
music,
thing about
and,
this
and I think
space.
we've succeeded pretty well with
Yeah,
that.
I do too. Because I mean, last year, I mean, classical. You had the vaudeville. You had the burlesque. What else? There's
We
some
had
other
rock.
kind-
We had our
you
first
had
rock
Evita.
concert. We had a Vita Cobo. We had jazz.
Had everything. A
we
little
had-
bit of everything.
And you
It
know,
was wonderful.
one thing that we kept hearing over and over from the people who did perform there is how much they enjoyed performing there, how much they felt like they were supported by the staff, how friendly everybody was, how
that's good.
receptive, and it's a lovely facility.
Amanda
Your
Garcia
big
works.
staff.
Amanda
Oh,
Garcia
Amanda.
works very hard putting the concert series together and does a great job. And is working even as we speak on that.
That doesn't surprise me. You know, it's so funny when you call the office. You either get Jennifer or you get Amanda. Nothing against Jennifer, but Amanda just always is so, I don't know, bright and cheery and hi, Willie, how are you? It's all that stuff.
She's a very good
so
actress.
fun.
She is. I was going to say that, but I wasn't going to.
I enjoy.
She was in My Fair Lady this year. She's done several shows with the Actors Express, our second company that does children's shows.
You know, when we, I had a lot of My Fair Lady people on and did a show, which I think is showing right now on Cat TV. And one of the things that we talked about were all the costume changes and all that, all
good
that
Lord.
different thing. How did you handle that? Were you
I'm-
were you a little
I'm-
confused at first?
I know.
or
I'm
did
just
every-
delighted I didn't have a heart attack because I thought I had enough time to change into my various costumes. I had to change 6 times during the show.
People played multiple characters. I don't know.
So I decided instead of grabbing a little piece of backstage like many people were doing because they didn't have the luxury of doing otherwise, I would go downstairs, which meant I went up and down the stairs 6 times.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was the young people were so smart because we had all these set changes. And thank God I didn't get as many as the young people. But at one point I saw them all pulling out their phones and I was like, that's so terrible.
I know.
They're looking at their phone. They were recording all the information in their phones.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's-
that they could have an object that lights up. You don't need much light, so that they would know what their set changes were coming up.
It scares me. All of this technology just scares me.
Well, in that case,
You
I
have a
was
cell
envious.
phone now, though.
Yeah,
You've
well,
had a
I've
cell
had
phone for a while.
for a while. That's it. Well,
No
I
computer
also
yet, though.
no computer, but Marinette Alicia has been getting after me. Willie, get a smartphone. If you're not going to get a computer, at least get a smartphone. So a couple weeks ago, when I was talking to her, I said, "Guess what? Don't get too excited, but I am going to get a smartphone." And she said, "Oh, Willie," and I said, "No, I told you not to get excited. When my house is ever in order, and that is probably never. So don't get too excited about the smartphone." But I am curious. But you see, I don't want. When I go over to my sister-in-law's, we go on Amazon, and I just go crazy. Like I haven't been over there for like 6 weeks now, or something like that, and my Visa bill is so low, and I'm thinking, why is that? Oh, that's right, I didn't order anything from Amazon in the last 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, maybe it's been 2 months. So, no, technology and myself, we just don't. I don't know why. It just scares me. I don't know how much are you into it?
Oh, I'm not into it, but I do see people reaping the benefit, and it makes me feel very old and decrepit. You know.
Well, yeah, I
So
always
Willie,
say
let me
I'm
ask
extinct.
you a question.
Uh-oh.
You're going to act in Bennington Goes to War, and it's been too
Gonna
long
try.
since you've done a show. How
And
does
I'm
it feel to be
scared to
getting
death.
back into
I'm
harness
scared to
and
death.
back on the stage?
I am scared to death, and I am a little paranoid because of. You may be sorry you asked me this question. I have put on so much weight.
Well, I haven't changed an iota in years.
and that bothers me. You know, I feel embarrassed a little bit. I feel, I don't know, I don't feel right. And I don't feel that I have the ease or the comfort for the stage. I mean, I'm hoping I will find this out. I'm afraid of balance because being diabetic, my toes are not much help to me. Chris and Rick, if they see me going like this, they might have to pick me up. But I am looking forward to it, but I am nervous.
It'll be like riding a bicycle once you get back on stage.
Yeah, well, I don't
After
know.
working with an 85-year-old woman,
Oh, I know it.
I realize that there is so much more we're capable of than we.
Well, I said Carlton Carpenter comes and works at Oldcastle. When he did on Golden Pond, it was like that role was just written for Carlton, and he was wonderful
And third.
and wonderful. And
That scene in Third just
Oh.
got me every night. It was
too.
beautiful.
yeah, no, no, it's been a long time. I am looking forward to it, but I am a little nervous. But the fact that I'm working with you as a director and Chris and Rick,
Old
I
friends.
feel very comfortable
There are a lot of people.
with the people I'm
there are a
going to
lot
be
of
with.
people who've been looking forward to seeing you back on stage.
Absolutely.
I've heard from many of them, so they will be
Many of my
very
family
happy.
members.
I owe your mother.
To
Yeah,
see you
when
back.
when is
I know.
when
I've
is
heard
Willie
from
going
many.
to-
I've heard from many people the same thing, and you know, I don't plan to disappoint. But now most of this is what the men or women had to say in their pieces or whatever, and there are a few scenes where there is dialogue between a couple characters, between Ginger and
Ginger Howe and,
right,
and Leonard
right.
Morrison. Yes.
Now, this is a question that I probably should be saving for Tuesday. Are those parts going to be memorized? Or is that still going to be part of the... Because we're basically doing this as a staged reading.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I just don't know whether there's lines to learn or not. That's another thing. That's another thing that scares me. I keep thinking, I'm going to pick up a script and I'm going to start memorizing lines. A show that I love is Visiting Mr. Green. Maybe there's some longer passages in there. Maybe I'll
That's a good
work
plan.
on those. But
This is going to be a short rehearsal period
right,
and a short run.
right.
And so it'll be, it's the shortest Actors Equity Union contract we can get, which is 2 weeks. So it's just a 2-week contract, so it's just a 2-week, which is why it'll be a staged reading.
Well, I hate to take the money.
You know, I've done a lot of readings. A lot of theaters tend to do them in order to introduce new material, or it's a way to get people into the theater that maybe can't afford, you know, regular prices. And it surprises me how much people enjoy them and forget
Oh, yeah.
that it's a reading.
When we did To Kill a Mockingbird at the Bennington Library, that was probably the last thing that I really did. And I remember you saying, Willie, you really did a good job with that. And I felt really good. Of course, I just found out, too, that, or somebody asked me the other day, it's going to be a Christmas show? And I said, I don't know, that's up to WBTN. I have no idea what they're doing. And they said, well, you certainly were the hit of it last year. And I don't know if you were there, Chris, but that one thing I read did cause
It was a blue
stir.
Christmas.
It was a
Really.
little blue. It was a little blue. But I have heard more people tell me, oh my God, that was hysterical. And then the death of the Pillsbury Doughboys. So No, it's been fun.
We are going to do another live Christmas show
Oh, wonderful.
broadcast on WBTN on,
Oh, great.
I think the 13th, 14th of December, the middle Saturday in December.
Okay. Oh, I look for some more smut.
We're not sure. We're not sure what it'll be yet.
It wasn't smut. It wasn't.
We haven't done a great deal of work on it yet. But
Well, I know we're going
have to get through this first.
Yes, we've got to close down here. Got to close down the old set. So once again, tell us the dates of this show and the times and all that.
October 24th, 25th, 26th, Friday and Saturday nights at 7:30, Saturday and Sunday afternoons at 2 o'clock.
Okay. And I want to thank both of you for being here. Chris, it was great. It's
you.
always great to see Chris. You always see her at the theater. And if you don't see her on stage, you're going to see her in the bathroom, or you're going to see her
Vacuuming,
doing costumes or doing something. She's always busy working. So, yeah. So next Tuesday, we're all going to get together and start this baby. We'll see what happens.
Thanks, Willie.
Well, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for joining me and my guests today, Eric Peterson and Chris Decker, for another episode of Your Friends and Neighbors. And we'll see you next time. And I'm sure we'll have another fascinating
There are
guest
songs
or
that
guests.
the
I'm not
birds
sure
don't
which,
sing
but
to be
see you then. Thanks.
Secrets that keep right through to the end. Heroes that hide until forever. And I'm singing this song for one of them. He's the man that you passed on the road there. The one with his life on the loose. Going either somewhere or nowhere.